Good afternoon, and welcome to the Commission's report, Integrity Matters, sponsored by Flow here on Radio Turks and Caicos. I am your host, Mtunisia McCartney, the Public Education Officer for the Integrity Commission, and I have here with me three guests. Commissioner Reverend Dr. Goldstone Williams. Say hi to our audience.
Hello.
Our IT Specialist Security Manager, Mr. Jovan Fleming.
Hello, Turks and Caicos.
And my Deputy Director, Mr. Richard Bean.
Good afternoon, Turks and Caicos.
Yes, Turks and Caicos. Just to share a little bit about our three guests today, we have Reverend Dr. Goldstone Williams. He was born in Bottle Creek, North Caicos, Turks and Caicos Islands. He worked for Shell Bahamas Limited and West Indian Shipping Company. While working for West India Shipping Company as an engineer, he felt the call of God on his life. He knew that in order to be equipped for service, he needed training. He left West India Shipping and enrolled at the Hope Sound Bible College, where he majored in ministerial studies. In 1987, he graduated with his BA in ministerial studies and returned home to be near his parents. In 1989, he applied to the Turks and Caicos Baptist Union and was given the pastorate of the Middle Caicos Circuit of Baptist churches. He faithfully served in this capacity for almost 12 years. During this tenure, he not only ministered to the spiritual and physical needs of his congregation, but he also ensured that the house of worship was in good condition. Blessed with carpentry skills, he did major renovations on Mount Moriah Baptist Church, transforming it into a beautiful place of worship. The church at that time was one of the best edifices in the Turks and Caicos Islands. He also did minor renovations to the other two churches and built the Baptist Mission House in Kongbar, Middle Caicos. There are times in a man's life when changes occur and challenges are encountered. Thus, in 2001, Reverend Williams accepted the challenge of pastorate at the Paradise Baptist Church in Five Keys, Providenciales. The road was rough, but God was there for him. Today, he enjoys a delightful ministry. Along with serving with his church family, Reverend Williams has served and is still serving the larger community in various capacities. He has served on the Immigration Board and Public Service Commission Board. He has held the position of President and Vice President of the Turks and Caicos Baptist Union. Currently, he is the Executive Secretary of the Turks and Caicos Islands Baptist Union. Reverend Williams's education includes a BA in a Ministerial of Divination and a Doctorate of Ministry degree. To God he gives all the glory. He has been happily married to Whitlin Higgs for 42 years, and together they have three beautiful children, Denaz, Demikos, and Dejiana. Welcome again, Reverend Goldstone Williams.
Thank you so much.
A very classy biography. And now we move on to the Deputy Director, Mr. Richard Bean. He's an attorney at law of the Turks and Caicos Bar. He served as the Deputy Director of the Turks and Caicos since January of 2014. That's the Turks and Caicos Islands Integrity Commission. And prior to that, Mr. Bean served in the Ministry of Finance in various capacities over the years. Lead liaison in the Exchange Information Unit, the Revenue Counsel for the Ministry of Finance, and the Collector of Stamp Duty. Mr. Bean has also served for several years as Crown Prosecutor in the Attorney General's Chambers of the Turks and Caicos Islands and as the Inward Investment Manager with the Investment Division of the TCIG, formerly TCI Invest. Welcome, Richie, once again.
Thank you.
And now we move on to last but by no means least, Mr. Jovan Fleming. Originally from Trinidad and Tobago, Jovan has become the IT Specialist Security Manager within the Turks and Caicos Islands Integrity Commission serving from 2014. He's had more than 17 years professional experience in the information technology field. 14 of these years have been spent specializing in the exciting field of information security. His professional experience have been in providing information technology, security advice, and support to the local law enforcement agencies, as well as private sector companies and government departments. Through the Integrity Commission, Javon has provided technology support to other regional anti-corruption bodies. Welcome again, Mr. Javon Fleming.
Thank you very much.
And I wish to thank each of you for sharing on Integrity Matters. We will be talking about IT, security, as well as conflict of interest, and we'll touch a bit on the political activities ordinance. But before we get into today's program, we'll just hear for a word from our sponsor and one of our PSAs, and we'll be right back to continue the show.
As a man who loves spending time with family, does whatever it takes to keep my wife happy, and works hard to grow a successful business, it is important for me to stay on top of my game. With Flow's new family plans, I get to keep all my favorite things in one place. With 80 gigabytes of data to share with up to 4 family members and unlimited local anywhere talk and text, I get one bill that covers my entire family for as low as $60 per line and no surprise charges. All I had to do was add my home internet to my mobile, switch to Flow for more savings and more value. Flow helps me look out for my family's greatest needs, keep my customers happy, stay connected to everything I love, and have more time for the right things.
Welcome back to today's program. If you're just joining us, I am your host, Imtanizia McCartney, the Public Education Officer for the Integrity Commission here on Integrity Matters. We have with us today our Commissioner, Reverend Goldstone Williams. We have also the Deputy Director, Mr. Richard Bean, as well as our IT Specialist Security Manager, Mr. Javon Fleming. I wish to thank Flow as well as Radio Turks and Caicos for this important collaboration, and to welcome you, Turks and Caicos Islands, as well as those who are listening regionally and internationally. A special Turks and Caicos welcome to you. Feel free also to visit our website at www.integritycommission.tc. Thus far, we've met with all our various departments. We've met with compliance, with the enforcement arm, as well as the executive directorship within the Integrity Commission. And our aim is to ensure that you have, at the end of each program, that you have a better understanding about the Integrity Commission as we lead in combating corruption so that public resources can be used for the benefit of all TCI people. And indeed, you too have a role to play. We will continue our conversation with our IT Specialist Security Manager. And firstly, I'd like to ask you, Javon, what is your role within the Integrity Commission?
That's a great question, Indonesia, and thanks for being here on this platform to speak with you. My role as IT Specialist Security Manager is to provide IT support to the Integrity Commission, as well as all of its units. So compliance, enforcement, public education, as well as the supporting units as administration and such, and the commissioners. I provide that level of support to them, as well as security advice, which is necessary in terms of information security, securing the information, communicating, transfer, everything that is related to security as well.
And as the Integrity Commission is one of those bodies that deal with some very sensitive information, I'm glad you keep mentioning security, how seriously does the Commission take its obligation to maintain the secrecy and confidentiality of this sensitive information so that the public can be reassured that their information is in good hands?
That's another excellent question. The Commission is one of the organizations that I've worked for, that I'm proud to say places security in the utmost echelons of what they're set out to do. Right? From the executive down to the cleaner, everybody is aware of security. When we onboard any staff member who joins the Commission, one of the first sit downs we have with them is to just let them know how the level of importance we place on security, because the level of security that they're going to be exposed to in the day-to-day operations, if they're not prepared for it, sometimes it can be a bit restrictive. So we need to just let them be aware of, you're not just going to be able to access the office. There are several levels of security, to protect the information that we maintain, that you'll have to go through in order to get to it. It's actually enshrined in our ordinance, the duty to confidentiality and to secrecy of the information. So from that point going forward, we try to express upon, security. Each member of staff has to take an oath of secrecy, which binds them to maintain our confidentiality, both while they work for the Commission as well as when they move on to something else in their life. All of our employees are vetted to ensure that the persons that we're bringing in do meet the criteria that we need to hold this sensitive information. Just like our declarants who have to go through this sometimes very intrusive letter,
yes,
of submitting their declarations, each member of staff has to do the same thing as well. The only difference is we lodge our declarations with the governor, who would then scrutinize us, just as we scrutinize or the compliance team scrutinize declarants. Information such as declarants and enforcement information, we apply a lot of security to it. There being, not every member of staff can access a declaration within the Commission. We operate in a very compartmentalized manner. So only compliance team has access to declarations. And that scope only widens in the event that there's an issue with a declaration and it needs to progress to a different level where a senior member of the team or probably a member of enforcement will need to get into the loop. Same thing.
A policy and a process.
Exactly. Same in the event of investigations. Only the enforcement team has access to that. And we ensure only those members have access to that information through access control as well as utilizing encryption. So even me as the IT person, I can't just access the information because I don't have the technical keys to open and unlock that information. Only those respective units have access to that information to get into it.
I'm sure that the public would be happy to hear that those restrictive processes exist as well.
Not only that, all access to that information is audited. And those reports would be going to those persons who are responsible for that information, such as the persons who head those units, as well as the director. So should it come up, and audit logs can't really be changed. So should my name come up on any log showing that I tried to access the declaration, I am going to have questions to answer.
Indeed.
Right? And I definitely don't want to have to answer those questions. So we employ all of the Commission's offices are monitored 24/7. Any information that leaves the Commission or enters the Commission is also audited and logged. Anything that occurs on our network is logged. All of the commissions and any of the members of staff, their devices, where they use to operate on a day-to-day basis, are secured, encrypted, have proper antivirus controls, and we put forward that necessary work to ensure that people can operate in a secure manner.
Indeed, and I know one of the other things that we continuously have to do is the ongoing security training that we have to do in-house.
Exactly. So where certain members, certain organizations, they provide some type of security training to ensure that staff members remain aware of what is being done, or what are the risks available while operating on the internet, while having access to online media and such. We at the Commission, we go the extra mile. We ensure that persons are regularly trained on a monthly basis. Not only that, after the training, they are tested to show that they understand the information. And we take the additional step of actually testing these people when they don't know they're being tested, right? So we try to hack them. We try to get them to click on messages and such. And I mean, we do it to a point, not to the point where it takes them away from their duties, but we just ensure that, some persons, they fall to some weak moments where they may forget. We may ensure that staff is always aware of the threats that are out there that could impact the information, that could impact declarants, that could impact sensitive persons who are giving us information, informants, and they are trained to be aware of it. And I'm proud to say that the Commission's team, they excel in terms of being aware of the threats that are out there and dealing with them appropriately, reporting them and such.
Yes, and thank you for your comprehensive response and answer. And I'm sure persons are allayed now that all of these processes, sometimes we may see them internally as being rigorous, but they are necessary
Correct.
to ensure that we're maintaining your secrecy and your confidential information. We're just, I wouldn't say we're coming out of, because the pandemic is still going on, but what are some of the new challenges, the new changes since the pandemic that the Commission and you had to put in place with regards to IT support and assistance?
Well, the pandemic disrupted a lot of organizations around the globe.
Of course.
The Commission was able to recover rather quickly because we had already started to alter our operations to accommodate for things like working remotely. Since now the Commission started off with one office, physical office in Grantic, and then afterwards we expanded to Providenciales. So we had to ensure that staff members who may move between offices can operate, whether they're in the office, they can collaborate as a unit by being in separate offices. So we had already transitioned on to having our meetings online, meetings with commissioners who may not be in TCI, may be in other parts of the world or other regions, can also connect securely and participate in secure meetings. So that was one way we were able to deal with it. Every staff member was provisioned with a device, a secure device, that at times, whether they're working in Grantic or Provo, they can work and do what they need to do, as well as if they were at home, right? So when the pandemic, took most of us to our homes for a period, staff members would continue to work remotely, securely. I mean, there were certain things that we didn't allow them to do because of the risks of them working at home, but they were still able to operate. So because of that, we were still able to operate. Everybody has a secure mobile device, so we were able to communicate and collaborate, with little disruption to operations,
Yes.
as well as meet with declarants as well, virtually or via phone and such.
Yes, indeed, and I was quite impressed, and then this leads me to my next question in regards to public education, how we were able to improve to ensure that we were still reaching the special subsets or our stakeholders. So how is the Commission using information technology to better engage the general public?
Great, that's a great question. As you know, public education is one of the three pillars of the Integrity Commission. So that is one area that we definitely did not want to suffer. So what we did is, one, we established our website, and we ensure that while there are not only English-speaking people in the TCI, there's also Creole and Spanish speakers. So one of the things we ensured that our website was automatically translated to any of those three languages. And one of the good things that Google gave us through Google Translate, we were able to translate it to many other languages. So even international persons who don't speak our language, who wanted to get an idea of what we're doing in the TCI, were able to do so. Another thing we were able to do another thing that we're trying to do is declarants. It was a bit difficult for them to have to fill out a paper process, a paper declaration, a paper based. One of the things that we're working on right now is the ability for declarants to be able to submit their declarations online. This has been something that we're aware of for a while, but we didn't approach it because of the security concerns. We weren't able to ensure the security of those declarations being submitted online. We're now in a better position to do so. So we're rolling out, we're completing the development of the platform, which will be security tested and audited before being rolled out to the declarants. So even though we're going down that route, if we can't guarantee a certain level of security, we won't roll it out until we're able to do so. So that's one of the things that is in the chain to be in place, hopefully before the next intake cycle next year in 2023. Some of the other things that we have tried to deal with is our virtual meetings online. We're using those online platforms to better collaborate amongst ourselves, as well as meet with declarants, informants, and such. And that has worked out. I mean, persons no longer have to come into the office. We can speak with them on terms and environments that they are better comfortable to speak with us, which is what we want. Persons who, in a small environment, is a bit. Some persons are not willing to come forward and say, and give make a complaint. So one of the things we offer on our website is the ability to submit an anonymous complaint, and persons appreciate that. One of the biggest issues that I've heard from members of the public, because I live in Grand Lake, is that you guys can track me. Yes, true. There are ways that, based on an IP address, somebody can possibly find out where you submitted a complaint from. But there are inherent protections against that. I mean, whether you're accessing our website from your phone or from your home, you're protected by your IP address. We as the commission can see an IP address, but we can't go to the telecommunication company and say, who has this IP address? In order for the telecommunication company in TCI, in the Caribbean, around the world, they have a duty to protect their customers. So unless we were to come with a court order stating that, this is a crime that we're investigating, we need to get access to this person. And a judge wouldn't just give us that just to find out somebody who submitted an anonymous complaint. Right? So that's one level of protection. The second is all complaints from that website strictly go to our intelligence officer, which is Mr. Ricardo Lopez. He is our intel guy, and he is trained to manage and protect any informant information. He will not expose an informant to a situation to their detriment, right, without their consent. So he is there to filter that information and only pass on the necessary information that the enforcement team would need to investigate to them, right? As the technical person, I can access certain information on the web platform, but me as well, no member of the team can ever come to me and tell me I need to get an IP address. In addition to my duty as IT security person to protect the commission, I also subscribe to certain qualifications such as Certified Information Security Professional, which I have taken a personal oath to protect information and integrity and such, and that is something that I won't jeopardize, right? So unless it is coming from it's a request coming from a team of the commissioners who are 6 individuals at such a high level who will need to sit in a room and come to that conclusion that they need that information. That's the only way I would consider giving that information. So not even to the director would I have to do so. And I mean, I have the ability that if I don't want to give the information, I could respectfully decline and resign. And that's the level that I'm willing to go to protect the information as well as to support the work of the commission. And I've shared this with the executive team, and they say that is the type of values that the Integrity Commission needs, and it supports their goals, so they support me in that.
Indeed. Thank you very much for sharing not only just your personal values, but also your professional, and that within the Integrity Commission, how it co-ops with the importance of keeping information secret, private, confidential, especially sensitive information, and that we've all sworn to an oath of secrecy.
Correct.
Indeed, and those values are ingrained within the Integrity Commission. Thank you very much, Javon, for sharing with us the IT security manager aspect of your services which you provide to the Turks and Caicos Islands Integrity Commission. Listeners, if you're still here, I am Antonesia McCartney, the Public Education Officer for the Integrity Commission. We've been talking with IT support within the Integrity Commission, and stay tuned. We will be right back after a word from our sponsor, where we will continue to talk about conflict of interest.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evil.
Red cheese, gold rings, all black, everything creeping through the night.
Anywhere you are,
Big girls don't scream hard like Halloween, make me feel alive.
there's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evil.
Welcome back to the Commission's report, Integrity Matters. I'm your host, Antonesia McCartney, and I'm here with Reverend Goldstone Williams, Commissioner, as well as Deputy Director, Mr. Richard Bean, where we will go into talking about conflict of interest. We know that the Turks and Caicos Islands is just some 40,000 people, and we know that we're either related, whether biologically or through friendship, and we want you to discuss some of the challenges of conflict of interest here in the Turks and Caicos Islands in relation to the work of the Integrity Commission. How would it present itself when it arises? Why it is important for us to manage it appropriately.
Thank you so much, Antonesia. And before I respond to the question you asked, I want to record my thankfulness to you and for the opportunity of being able to serve with such a wonderful group of people on this body. As we know that the Turks and Caicos Islands is a small island, and everybody would know everybody, most likely related. Be that if you're from Grand Turks or Cubeba, you're related. And because of this close-knit thing, you can have, what would appear sometimes to be conflict of interest. To give an example, you can have a person in the House as a representative or in any other position, and there's another person applying for a job. And if that person is given that job because Tom is related to Dick, and Dick has the high position, people will say it's conflict of interest. And oftentimes, if a person has the ability to function, we put him back because we feel like they should not be able to do that job. Another problem we have a conflict of interest is because of the two political parties. And you know quite well, one side want to gain mileage over the other one, and because of that, anything they see, they're out looking for opportunities. And so they will find something to say it's a conflict of interest, only to find out later on it might not really be a conflict of interest. Now, what do you do if such a thing arises, if a conflict of interest arises? We should report it. Report it to let me just say this. There are lots of people who believe got a weird concept, wrong concept of the Integrity Commission, and so believe everything just flow like that. And they don't seem to understand that there are relevant persons put in place that we can make our report to, so you can report your complaint to the Integrity Commission. And when you make your report to Integrity Commission, you do that in writing. Now, why it's so important that you do this in a right way? Over the years, we would know that, well, no one is perfect. Everyone has his flaws. I'm not perfect, even though sometimes I'm tempted to believe I am, but we are not perfect. And because of that, we make mistakes. And many times in dealing with a matter dropped through the crack. And then sometimes because it dropped through the crack, a person is maligned. A person is treated unfairly, and that person goes along with that. And because of that, it caused the Integrity Commission to carry a bad name, if I were to use that term, to say that the Integrity Commission is not fair, when all the time the Integrity Commission is exercising whatever powers it has in a fair way. We must understand, too, that we don't just function like that. We have Integrity Commission ordinance that will guide us. We function by that.
Richard?
Being as small as we are, the challenge always is present due to, as Reverend Goldstone pointed out, and as you said, familial relations. But there are also the friendships. Many of our friendships are way stronger than our family bonds. And these carry through the work we have to do, whether we're in private sector or whether we work for TCIG. Our forefathers have quite ably managed these conflicts. No one had to tell us we were doing something wrong. We knew when we were doing something wrong. And it's been instilled in many of us, most of us, I should say. What happens is, if we make a choice, knowing that the conflict exists, to continue through with what we want to do, knowing that there either is a benefit passing to a friend or a family member, or people will look at it and say, maybe you should have excused yourself from that. Persons particularly in the government sector, I think that they are put in certain positions, given certain responsibilities, because the qualities have been identified in those persons that they're able to carry out that work fairly and justly. And as a result, government has also trained you extremely well to do, as we like to say, the right thing. But we're all humans. And that human factor creeps in, and we at times make mistakes. As Reverend Goldsall said, we tend to think we don't, but we do. What we try to tell persons is that the Commission understands in a small island community how difficult it is, because we are your people. This is your commission. It's not an issue. It's not an issue when you make a mistake. It's the response on recognizing that I made a mistake. It's the response on knowing that you are conflicted. Some people say, well, what if I didn't know this person was related to me? Fine. That's fine. Your decision was made purely on, hopefully, what was brought to the table by that individual. But if you knew they were related to you, well, just, we talk about it. Say it. This is my cousin. I don't think I should sit on this. If you have nobody else to do it, fine, I can do it, but bear that in mind and have it noted. I think that throughout government this is practice, but we're well aware that in many instances, at times, it is not. And we've had persons tell us clearly when it is not followed and in what divisions this happens. And the Commission will take the steps and has taken the steps it needs to take to do interventionist procedures with persons who choose to operate in that manner. So, yes, being the small microcosm we are in this global village, as Derek Taylor would call it, we do understand that the conflicts are there. It is important for responsible professionals to recognize it and not try to play it off as if I didn't know. At some point in time, somebody will say to you, should you be doing this given that this is your family member or a very good friend of yours? And if you in your mind think somebody may ask me why I sat on this, then you know instantly maybe you should refer it.
Yes, and it's important for it to be managed appropriately, yes, because we are a young professional nation, but also that there will be the perception from your colleague or someone who's on the board or whatever within that position that the decision was made that may question it, and you would want to know that the best decision was made, given the informed information, given the criteria, because that will ripple off into the services that that particular department offers to the Turks and Caicos Islands. And so we would go on. If I do recognize and acknowledge that I am conflicted, what is the appropriate process that I should pursue in terms of managing it in a healthy way? And I take note that Forensic Strategic Solutions, who've done some research with regards to conflict of interest, they state that 90% of the time when something boils over into corruption that is either illegal or unethical, that it stems from being conflicted. So what is the process I should take if I see that, hey, I am conflicted according to the Integrity Commission ordinance?
Well, the first thing is that you make it known to the persons who are involved in whatever it is that you're doing, that you have recognized the conflict is there. Persons may have shares in an entity that's bidding for a contract. You've got relatives who are involved in it. At every one of those stages, the checks and balances are in the government system where you should say, I can't be involved in this, or I'd rather someone else be involved in it, purely for the appearance and the perception to not be there, that I have been influential in securing something for a business partner or a family member or close friend. One of the really trying matters we have here is that many persons who are in the political forum are business people, and they then sit in high office. The procedures that are laid out in the codes of conduct, in particular the conflicts of interest, which is Appendix B, if you visit the website of the Code of Conduct, it says we suggest to you divest, transfer your shareholdings to someone else, not your son or your daughter, because that's not going to be considered. They're still not an arm's length PEP, politically exposed person. See if you could change your portfolio if it's a matter that comes up in an entity or dealing with an entity that you have shares in. But more importantly, abstain from any discussions and decision making on decisions if you're conflicted in that manner and you hold high office in TCIG or in the House of Assembly. So we know the challenge that exists for persons in those positions. The Commission has the power to regulate the contracts that persons in the House of Assembly can have. The Commission has chosen up to now not to really go deep into that because we recognize the very small community that we have and that persons do have their business lives prior to going into political office. So they've exhibited the professionalism that's asked for in taking the necessary steps to mediate the perceptions of conflicts that arise, or the actual conflicts that arise from the various business arrangements that they have. It's a continuing work in progress. Some things are a bit more difficult than others, but I do believe that by and large, they do understand that this is something they have to do. If they say they want to offer themselves in service to the people, it's not about you, it's about the people of the TCI. And if we say you need to do certain things in order for the people to be happy with the situation, you simply need to do that.
Not much more I can say other than to say that in order to manage this appropriately, you must keep that matter within the confines of the place that it's being dealt with. Keep it in such a way that it would not get out on the street. Because if it gets out on the street, then you've got another bunch of problems on your hands.
So what I usually say during the presentations is that you identify, you declare, you make sure you put it in writing and within a timely manner, as well as recuse yourself altogether from the entire process, not just part of it, but the entire process. You allow your colleagues, the other professionals, to make the decision making, and additionally, that is also something that should be minuted within the board or whatever professional meeting. It should be documented and minuted as well. And so we will move on to talk about what if I am in a government, because presently we look at within the government purview, what if I am in a government department and I suspect that there may be an act of corruption or breach in the code of conduct? What should I do then?
The ordinance of the Integrity Commission speaks to civil servants, and it actually mandates that civil servants have to report this information to us. That is why the anonymous reporting feature was put in place, because we do know victimization occurs. It happens. The anonymous feature gives persons the ability to reach out to us and give us whatever information, and anyone who's been to any of our sessions, the who, the what, when, where, why, and how. That's what we want. You give us what you need to give us, what you understand takes place, and we don't need to know who you are. And leave it for the professionals in our enforcement and intelligence divisions to go and look and see what else we can find. We found quite a bit, which is why we continuously need more resources. But that is what you should do. Because at the end of the day, if we come back around to speaking to persons and saying, did you notice this? And the response is, yes, I did. And as our people would tell you, yes, I did, but I didn't want to lose my job, so I wasn't coming to you to talk about it. Well, there's the anonymous feature. You can log on and you can send us any information you want. We understand how the real life situation works, and you'll be fine. You'll be just fine.
And I'm glad that you started to go into the victimization aspect of it, because there are persons who would have mentioned that they do have that fear, and that fear is real, that victimization does occur, and that hence makes them reluctant to report. And what advice or suggestions, and I know you have already nailed on the importance of the anonymous reporting, what advice would you give to those persons?
This commission is your commission. This is your Integrity Commission. And it'll only be as good as it can be if you participate fully and understand the responsibility that rests in you. It's important that you come forward with the issues that you have. And as I've said, there's an avenue to do that. There are many who do come to us face to face, and we commend those who do that. Persons need to understand you offering yourself in service to TCIG does not make you God to do whatever you think you feel like you want to do to persons who are working under you or alongside you. And that happens. We're well aware it happens. We're well aware that people get victimized. We're trying as best we can to create a situation where you can come to us and we can look into matters and put in place the interventions we deem necessary so that it does not happen again, and a strong message has to be sent that it will not be tolerated. It's a zero tolerance for victimization of individuals. And it's most difficult to accomplish in larger communities in the United Kingdom and US. As a matter of fact, my understanding and what I've understood from the UK is that government persons who have whistleblown, which is what the term is, have all lost their jobs. So they can't really protect them to that extent in a place like that. In the US, of course, in private businesses, there's that compensatory factor that comes in for persons who have whistleblown, but it doesn't exist, to my knowledge, within, the UK system. And here, no, it doesn't exist here. It's something we're looking at. So we understand the challenge for you to come forward and say something, which is why we're saying there's an alternative. But what we do, the steps we take afterwards, are most important. And that's where it rests on the 6 commissioners. Once we get our information together, this is what the commission will be proceeding with on these terms based on our ordinance. And the public will see the results. It's been working, and it will continue to get better.
Yes, and I just want to reiterate again the importance of reporting anonymously. You can do it via a website. We just need to know the who, the what, the where, the when, the W's and the 1H, because it is critically important that you report something, be it a breach in the code of conduct or an act of corruption, rather than to allow it to fester and grow, because you may think of it as being, oh, it's affecting those persons, but it's only a matter of time where it's going to reach your doorstep. And the sooner and the more you hold us as the Integrity Commission, the 6 commissioners, accountable. Here's the work. I'm giving you the information. What are you doing about it? Hold us accountable to carry out our job as well.
In many cases, there's more in a situation than what meets the eye. We sit back and we just look at what on the top, but what's under there we wouldn't know until we dig into it. So it's important that we go into that and stop those things. I would say it again and over and over and over. The old folks say, where you see smoke, there's fire. And if you could find it while you got daylight, don't wait till it gets dark when you got to fumble around and tumbling over things to find it. While you got an opportunity, do what you got to do. You said that this commission is ours. Of course it is. The Turks and Caicos Islands is ours. And in order for us to bring this right, to have a corruption-free society, it means that all hands must be on deck, doing his part, reporting what you need to report. But in your reporting, be honest, and it will go good.
Yes, thank you very much, Reverend Goldstone. And just to touch a bit on our political activities ordinance, and what are 3 things that you would want the public to know in relation to that, Richard?
3.
At least 3.
The Commission oversees the Political Activities Ordinance that came about in 2012, and it was amended in 2016, I think it was. That ordinance speaks to the political parties and independent candidates accepting monies in the form of donations towards their campaigns and what they can spend it on. For the 2 election cycles that I have been with the Commission, and we've put this in practice, well, it's been in practice for 3 cycles. The treasurers of the political parties are the key persons to whom the Commission speaks. The leader can also be the treasurer, but the 2 substantive political parties here do have separate treasurers who invariably have their own private work that they do. We meet with them quite regularly. For the independent candidates, they are their own treasurers. So when election time comes around and the persons who would like to be candidates put their names up and are vetted, they then become their own treasurers, so they have to deal with us. The rules are very straightforward, and thankfully, everyone has been following the rules. There are some challenges that the treasurers pointed out. One, the major one, being the responsibility that rests squarely on the treasurer, and they believe that should be divested a bit to other members of their organizations. That is still left for us to discuss, and for the Commission to sit with those persons and understand some more how best they see us being able to assist them in alleviating some of the pressure that rests on their shoulders. The treasurers report to us on donations twice a year. During an election period, the treasurers report to us every week. The last general election, the report on expenditure and donations that will be out with the report the commission will be sending out very shortly. Safe to say, no party had over $500,000, and no party spent over $500,000. So that's as much as we can release now. Once those that the commission has deemed see it first see it, it will be for public viewing, as was the case with the report from the 2016 election and the 2012 elections. So the criteria upon which persons can run for office are dictated in our Constitution. On our website, it's accessible to everyone. So the education campaign that we have for, in particular, independent candidates, it's an eye-opener for many of them, and we enjoy doing it. And the responses we have had, they thoroughly enjoy it as well. They learn more about the Constitution, what responsibility rests on your shoulders if you are elected to the House of Assembly. And it is a continuous process that people contact us even now. It's not an election cycle, but people do call us, hey, what would I need to do if I wanted to run in a certain seat? As many of you may know, persons can run at large. And at large could mean in an individual constituency, or they can run all island, as you've seen in the previous elections. So there are many features in the political activities ordinance that are unique to the Turks and Caicos Islands, and it seems to be working quite well. The treasurers filed declarations that, to the best of their knowledge, this is the monies that have been received. To the best of their knowledge, this is the expenditure that has been incurred. We take it at face value. The responses are audited. Other information, if it comes in, well, it will be passed through to our Intel and Enforcement Unit to look into it. And that is what we have done. So it's a process that, like I said, we're one of the few that do it this way, and it seems to work. It seems to work. It appears to work. And we'll continue testing and seeing how we can make it better.
Yes, thank you very much, Richard. And before we move off of political activities, I know we are winding down. I really need you to explore, because it's usually a topical question and maybe misunderstood within the public, the culture of treating and the role of the Integrity Commission versus the role of the Elections Office in this aspect, because it's usually misunderstood.
Treating rests under the elections ordinance, and it entails the giving of food or inducement to persons in order to sweeten them up to vote for you. As a result, the commission has asked that it's not done. So people who have the political rallies, we ask them water, juice, etc., it's fine. But big meals, etc., it then brings in that perception, and the reports do come in. Historically, we know in our country, we always gave out stuff. It's done in Jamaica, it's done in the Bahamas, it's done, I think, around the globe. Persons vying for political office do that, and it's accepted. And here, it was continuously done and accepted, even though the ordinance, the elections ordinance, prohibited it. What happened in 2016 is that the meetings that we have, the consortium that meets prior to election, said this needs to be enforced. It has not been enforced. Thus, enforcement came in, and persons were told, no, you can't hand out hams and turkeys anymore. You can't do this, you can't do that, because it would be considered treating. We do know it still goes on. Yes, people had hams, they had turkeys, and other things. It was wrong.
Sold out.
It was wrong. But as we said, we're a growing community. We note what happens. We take the steps of saying, please be responsible. You're offering yourself in service. If you want to serve me, I think the first thing I want to know is that you know how to play by the rules. It's most important. You set the tone. If you don't want to play by the rules, what happens to those below who look and say, well, come see, come saw. If you do it, I think I could do it as well. It all goes hand in hand in us setting a tone and a culture within the society that, yes, I understand you're doing it, but no thanks. I don't want to be a part of that. I think we should elevate what we're doing to a level where we can sit back and say, no, we chose not to operate that way, and it works.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Richard, Deputy Director, Integrity Commission. Thank you, Commissioner Reverend Goldstone Williams. Thank you, Javon Fleming. You've shared a lot of vital information with our listeners, and I just would want you to do just a final, starting with Javon and then Richard and then Reverend Goldstone, just to share your final words. What do you think the public needs to be aware of from your perspective? What is most important? Javon?
All right. Well, what I would like the public to do is to please, I beseech you, engage the commission. It doesn't matter on what level, whether it is to reach out to give us some information or to let us know, hey, can you come and assist us with training? And don't allow any third party to give you any kind of information in terms of to change your mind against the commission. Engage with us directly, and then you judge
For
us.
yourself.
Right? If you judge us, then we can probably try to assist you, or we can, if we're not resourced to assist you, we can seek that resource so that we can meet your expectations, because the Integrity Commission is here to combat corruption and hopefully eradicate corruption, and that is what we do, because like you, we are members of the community as well, and corruption affects you, it affects us, it affects our kids, so we really have to work together to accomplish this.
Yes, indeed, we need you. Richard?
I think Jovan hit the nail on the head. But I must stress again, this Integrity Commission is yours. It's not something that man over there made and put on you. This is your Integrity Commission, and will be as good as you shoulder your part of the responsibility in what we have to do and in carrying out our mandate.
Thank you, Richard. And Reverend Goldstone.
Somebody said that there are many kinds of exercises that we do, and the worst one we can do is that of jumping to conclusion. And so I said to our people, because I know, oftentimes they jump to conclusion, and in jumping to conclusion, they have the Integrity Commission to be something what the Integrity Commission is not. They don't seem to understand that the Integrity Commission is there for the betterment of this country. I've spoken to a number of persons, and when I told them what the Integrity Commission is about and how it functions, they look at me and say, I didn't know that. That's a good thing. So don't jump to conclusion, ask questions, and ask questions from persons who can give you good answers.
And I want to say read the ordinance, read the Constitution, read whatever documents that will help you to be more informed of your rights, your responsibilities, whether you're visiting, whether you're a resident, whether you're indigenous Turks and Caicos Islanders. Read, because we are here to work towards improving the quality of living for each of us. It is our Integrity Commission. And with that, I wish to thank Flo and Radio Turks and Caicos as well, each of you, our listeners, for joining us today on the Commission's report, Integrity Matters. If you wish to learn more about the Integrity Commission, I have to invite you to visit our website at www.integritycommission.tc, as well as you can feel free to call in our numbers 941-7847 in Provo, 946-1941 in Grantor. You can also email us at ask@integritycommission.tc. Thank you very much for joining us. I am Antonesia McCartney, the Public Education Officer for the Integrity Commission, and I do hope that you've been informed while listening to Integrity Matters. See you again next week, Thursday at 2 p.m. Integrity Matters.